when you think of King Solomon, wisdom is probably the first word that comes to mind. He's legendary for it. But his story, wow. It's also a powerful cautionary tale about how even the smartest, wisest people can fall. So we're going to dive into the dramatic final years of his reign and try to understand what went so wrong.
So this is really the central question we're tackling here. How did a man who was literally blessed with divine wisdom end up making choices that would tear his incredible kingdom apart? The answer is, well, it's complicated, and it all starts at the absolute peak of his power.
Okay, so before the fall, you have to understand the spectacular rise. Solomon's time as king was a true golden age for Israel. We're talking peace, incredible wealth, and just this massive international influence.
And this marriage, it was a huge power move. I mean, think about it. In the ancient world, it was practically unheard of for an Egyptian princess to marry a foreign king. So this alliance wasn't just a wedding, it was a massive statement to the rest of the world about Solomon's status. But this first major foreign alliance was also, you could say, a bit of foreshadowing.
And this, right here, is where the story takes a really dramatic turn. What started as political maneuvering through marriage kind of spiraled into something else entirely on a scale that is just, well, it's staggering. And I mean, look at that number. It's truly mind-boggling. The source material tells us Solomon ended up with 700 wives who were princesses and another 300 concubines. That's 1,000 women total from all these different nations like Moab, Ammon, and Sidon. This was way, way beyond just politics. The text is pretty blunt about it. The original Hebrew word used here for loved suggests something more like a strong, possessive desire. It hints that his motives weren't just about smart diplomacy, they were also fueled by a personal drive to possess, and that drive would have some really dire consequences. And this slide really gets to the heart of the problem. You see, God's law, which was given centuries earlier, strictly warned against intermarrying with these specific foreign nations. Now, the reason wasn't about ethnic purity or anything like that. It was about ideological contamination, the fear that foreign gods would be brought in and completely undermine the nation's faith. And Solomon, the wisest man alive, knowingly and repeatedly broke this fundamental command.
And wouldn't you know it, the exact thing the law was trying to prevent is exactly what happened next. This spiritual compromise quickly led to a total spiritual collapse.
Now, it's really important to get this. This didn't happen overnight. It was a slow drift. It's the classic story of how a bunch of small, repeated compromises can lead to a massive shift in who you are over time. As Solomon got older, the constant influence of his wives and their different customs just eroded his devotion, until his heart, which was once fully committed, was now divided. And we're not just talking about him turning a blind eye here. Oh no, he got actively involved. He started following Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, this detestable god of the Ammonites. He even went so far as to build high places. These are local shrines and altars for these foreign gods, shattering the religious unity of his own kingdom. So you can imagine, a betrayal of this big, it wasn't going to go unanswered. The judgment that came wasn't just a punishment, it was a prophecy that would completely reshape the future of the entire nation. And just like that, the sentence was passed. But there was a catch. Out of respect for Solomon's father, the legendary King David, this whole division wouldn't happen while Solomon was still alive. The consequences of his actions would fall on his son, Rehoboam. So basically, the clock started ticking. And the way this prophecy was delivered, it's like something out of a movie. So incredibly dramatic. A prophet named Ahijah meets one of Solomon's top officials, a guy named Jeroboam, on the road. Ahijah takes off the brand new cloak he's wearing, rips it into 12 pieces, and then hands 10 of those pieces to Jeroboam. Just a stunning, unforgettable visual for what was about to happen. And this chart right here, this is what that torn cloak represented. 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel, mostly the ones in the north, would be handed over to Jeroboam. Only 2 tribes down south, Judah and Benjamin, would stay loyal to Solomon's family. The unified kingdom was officially doomed.
Now, even while Solomon was still alive, the cracks really started to show. That divine judgment, it started to show up as very real political and military problems that began to chip away at his once peaceful kingdom.
First up, we have this guy, Hadad the Edomite. You can think of him as an old enemy coming back to haunt Israel with a vengeance. So this guy, Hadad, had a serious, long-standing grudge. He'd actually escaped to Egypt when he was just a boy, back when David's army had conquered his home country of Edom. But while he was in Egypt, he found favor with Pharaoh, even married into the royal family. Once he heard that David's top general was dead, he came back to Edom and became a constant thorn in Solomon's side.
And at the exact same time, another enemy pops up, this time from the north, Rezon, son of Eliada, who goes and sets up a rival kingdom in Syria.
So Rezon becomes king of Aram, what we'd basically call Syria today, and he hated Israel. He was a bitter enemy for the rest of Solomon's reign. Between Hadad and Rezon, the borders of Solomon's kingdom were constantly being tormented, disrupting the very peace he had worked so hard to build.
But the biggest threat, the most dangerous one of all, it came from the inside. Jeroboam, the guy from the prophecy, he wasn't just some nobody waiting around for a promise to come true. He was a mighty warrior from the tribe of Ephraim, a big rival to Solomon's own tribe of Judah, and he actually rebelled against the king. Solomon tried to have him killed, but Jeroboam managed to escape to Egypt, just waiting for his moment.
So when you step back and look at the whole thing, Solomon's 40-year reign, which began with such incredible glory and wisdom, ended under a dark cloud of rebellion, divine judgment, and the guarantee of a divided kingdom.
And this timeline really lays it all out, doesn't it? You can see this clear arc. It kicks off with these monumental achievements, right? The alliance with Egypt, building the actual temple of God. But then you hit the turning point, amassing 1,000 foreign wives. And that leads directly to his heart turning away, and then to the prophecy that sealed his kingdom's fate.
And sure enough, just as prophesied, the moment Solomon died, his son Rehoboam took the throne, and the whole kingdom immediately fractured. The 10 northern tribes went with Jeroboam, forming the kingdom of Israel. The 2 southern tribes stuck around, forming the kingdom of Judah. And this split kicked off centuries of civil war and a long, long line of mostly wicked kings.
You know, Solomon's story leaves you with this one profound question. He had more wisdom, more wealth, and more power than almost any person in history. And yet it wasn't enough to stop his own downfall or the collapse of his nation. It really forces us to ask, when all that wisdom and power fails, what's the one thing that actually lasts?